Hi, hello everybody. Welcome back to part two. Um, this is Sociology 241, Spring 2021. I'm Mike. I teach the class. It is 1:28 p.m. on January 8th. The year is 2021. And this brief video is a tutorial slash advice counseling session for you all to orient you to how I expect you to do the work for my class. So I want to talk about this a little bit, and it's there are a lot of different moving parts to this, and I'm going to try to um, convey them in such a way that everything is clear to you. In this class, what you will be doing is reading texts each week, usually, watching videos that I've made of lectures about those texts each week, and occasionally incorporating other texts like movies, podcasts, and that sort of thing. And at the end of each week, I'm going to ask you to um, answer a set of questions in which that are designed to get you to reflect and process the key pieces of the texts that I had assigned that week, as a way to kind of check your work and also facilitate your learning. So that's why we do those. And it's tempting, and it's very easy because of the times in which we live and the internet in which we live. It is very easy to find a lot of information about a lot of different things. And as with the internet, as with all things internet, some of that information is really good. Some of that information is not so good. Some of it might be terrible. But a lot of it might be pretty good. I mean, Wikipedia is a place where I spend a lot of time. There's a lot of great stuff on Wikipedia, and I have no problem with Wikipedia. This is not that. Um, but the thing about Wikipedia is that the it's not the reading that I assigned you. It's not the text that I assigned you. And so if I've asked you to define a concept or apply a particular concept um, in an engagement exercise question, and you don't know what I mean when I use a particular phrase, then the place to go to get that information would be the text that I assigned you and my lecture. It would not be Wikipedia or any other website that isn't the text that I assigned you, because from author to author, across a wide range of fields and venues, these different phrases, concepts can be used to mean radically different things or be used in very different ways. And so the particular ways in which I want you to be able to talk about these concepts um, come through the reading material that I have assigned you and the lectures that I provide. It does not come through internet sources or any other sources. So while it is not inherently a bad thing to use outside sources, that's not what this class is about. We're not doing research here where I want you to go to the library or I want you to go to the internet and find outside sources. I am giving you, assigning you every resource that you need to do well in this class. So there's no need for outside sources in this class at all. If you don't know what I'm asking you, then the problem is that you haven't spent enough time with the material that I've assigned you. And so you would need to go back and do that. So really, it's funny. I was just reading my evaluations from last semester, and somebody put, you do the work, you do the reading, you get a good grade. It's not that hard. And, shouts out to that person, whoever that wise sage was, because that's exactly right. You could spend more time Googling this shit on Wikipedia than you would just reading the stuff that I've assigned you. It's not that hard. So read, watch, write. That's the first thing I wanted to say. Read, watch, write. The second thing I want to say, and then I'm going to be done, this is a very short one, is that when you work on the material for this class, I want to give you some advice for how I would propose that you do that. So I have assigned you readings that are PDF files that are available on the ReggieNet website. And so you go there and you open it up and you can read it on your screen. If you've got a phone and you have, I don't know, flexible, adept enough thumbs, you can maybe pull it up on your phone. But what I would propose that you do is print it out. And so I would propose that when you can and where you can, that you operate from one of these. It will be better for you. It'll help you slow down. It'll help you. The resolution of the printed word will be easier on your eyes. It will be easier to understand. It opens up a whole new world of how you can interact with a document. You just have a pen and a printout and you interact with it and you read it, and you make notes on it and circle things and you annotate and, oh, this is talking about here. Oh, that reminds me of this. And you can draw arrows from ideas back to each other. You highlight stuff, right? You interact with this. And once that is done, you can set that aside, or you can, keep it there, and you make notes in your notebook, right? This is not a note; it's actually just a scribble. You can doodle too. There's nothing wrong with that. But write things. These are analog tools here. You see these guys here. These are analog tools. They're really good tools. They're just so good. You don't. If you haven't been around them lately, you don't know what you're missing. We particularly this year, in this moment in our history, man, if we weren't spending all of our time on screens before this, well, we certainly are now. So give yourself a break from your screen if you can, and do a little bit of work on paper and pen. And if you are wondering to yourself, quite rightly and fairly, well, why would I pay for all of that paper and toner and this very fancy ballpoint pen and this yellow legal pad? Where am I going to get the money for that? We're in a recession here, for sure. I appreciate that, and that's why there are no required books for this class, right? So you don't have to pay for any textbooks. All I'd like you to do is use that money, put that textbook money that you save toward toner, because, and I'm not asking that you print every single little reading that I assign for the 15, 16 weeks of this course. I'm not asking that at all, but particularly if you're about to write a paper on a set of readings that I've asked you to read, those particular readings, right? It would be really good to have those as a printout. Take your time, interact with it away from their screens, make some notes, really, work through those ideas. And as you do, you situate that. I don't know where it actually sits in the brain, but it gets deeper into your brain when you interact with it in that way. So I would ask that you do that. And then the other part of this is that I would ask that you avoid taking large sections of text from the readings and putting them, whether it's in quotes or otherwise, directly into your document, whether it's a weekly exercise or whether it's a paper. So you might be tempted, if you want to define a term, to borrow that sentence from the reading where that term is defined. Because you might think to yourself, well, I can't say it any better than the author, so I'm just going to take what the author said. Well, that can be okay. And if you use quotation marks and properly cite it, then it isn't technically plagiarism. But what I want from you is to paraphrase, to practice the retrieval that you have to practice when you read the reading and make notes on it and think about it and then set it aside and then turn to your Word document and start typing, right? So really get the reading down first and then start writing. And then you may need to go back to the reading. You can go back and forth at that point. But the idea is that you take the text and you eat it. You consume it. You read it. You process it. You get it into your brain. And it's easier. The written word helps. It just gets it in there. It gets it in there a little bit like more fully, you know? But you get it, you take it from here and you put it into your brain and you process it in there. You mull it over. And once you've done the mulling, all the mulling has happened and taken place, then you produce. And you're not looking at this anymore. It's face down and you're over here. And that's when you produce. So that what you are producing is a set of ideas and a set of verbiage that is entirely yours, but that draws from the reading, the concepts, the ideas, the history, the case study, whatever it is that we're reading. It draws from that reading. It uses that reading as a point of departure, as a platform, but it creates something that is actually yours, right? In your voice, with your, imperfections even. And so what that does is it makes the learning deeper. And it also ensures that your product is entirely yours. And so it helps with that, that fine line that is honestly increasingly, people are increasingly pushing in terms of what plagiarism is and how you know whether plagiarism is intentional or not, and how many words constitute plagiarism. Well, if I copied a whole paragraph or if it was just a sentence, I've had people say, I say, you plagiarized that definition of social capital right from Wikipedia. And they say, but it's just the definition, it's just one sentence. And I said, yeah, you can plagiarize one sentence. It doesn't have to be an entire paper that you didn't write. If it's even a sentence that you didn't write, and you don't put quotes around it and you don't attribute it to its author, then yeah, that's cheating and it's theft and it's plagiarism. And if you get caught, you get a 0. So don't do that. And the way you can avoid that is this method that I'm telling you. Interact with your document here, mull it, put it through your blender, process it, make it make sense to you, then turn to your typety type and write your paper at that point. Okay? That's the secret. I look forward to any questions that you may have.